Breaking a night of shocks and shifts around the world. Ukrainian strikes hit Voronezh Power Plant. Russia plugged into darkness. A massive blast, lights out, panic on the streets. Moscow is losing control, even deep inside its own territory. Nord Stream scandal returns. New investigation could shake Europe's support for Ukraine. Czech Republic gives Ukraine a satellite, a new eye in the sky. New era of intelligence, survival and precision warfare begins. Welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Zoroslava Kolesnikova. Let's dive in. Ukrainian strike hit Voronezh Power Plant. Russia left in the dark. A powerful Ukrainian strike shook Voronezh overnight. One of the region's largest thermal power plants was hit, the very facility that hits four major districts of the city. Presidents report sudden blackouts, explosions in the distance, and lights thickening back on the only minutes later. It is the beginning of a new wave of precision strikes deep inside Russia. And how badly will this hit the Kremlin's energy stability as winter approaches?
On the night of November 9th, the Ukrainian armed forces struck the Voronezh Thermal Power Plant. After the strike, electricity disappeared in several houses but then came back. The Voronezh Thermal Power Plant is one of the largest suppliers of thermal energy in the region and provides heating to four districts of the city.
It happened right before my eyes. I had just stepped out onto the balcony. Right over there, exactly. Apparently along the power lines. No, well, I heard it was 3, but they're saying 4.
In Belgorod, this incident was attacked, leaving tens of thousands of residents without electricity. The governor of the region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, stated that the damage is very serious.
As a result of last night's rocket attack, there is significant and extensive damage to the power and heating systems in the city of Belgorod. But our energy workers, as always, are heroically trying to cope with the task at hand. Right now, they are working on restoring what was damaged by our enemies.
A day earlier, Ukrainian drones struck energy facilities in Saratov, Engels, and the Volgograd region. Power outages were also reported there. With massive drone and missile attacks, Russia is trying to plunge Ukraine into a blackout. In response, the Ukrainian army is carrying out symmetrical strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the authorities are ready and will not only defend the infrastructure, but also carry out retaliatory strikes.
What will happen with electricity? Today, it's hard for me to say. We will be ready for any retaliatory challenges. We work on this every day. We will defend, we will fight. The Russians must know that step by step we will increase the production of everything so that they too feel what we are feeling. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine. In
2025, in Russia there is a trend of increasing electricity shortages. As of October this year, the shortage of capacity in the power grid reaches tens of gigawatts. This was reported by the Ukrainian Foreign Intelligence Service.
Due to demand from industrial, residential, and municipal consumers exceeding the total generation of all power plants, as of October this year, the shortage of capacity in the power grid has already reached 25 gigawatts. Despite attempts by the RF government to introduce at least some measures to stabilize its energy system, such as monetary compensation or discounts on electricity bills for voluntarily reducing consumption during peak hours, as well as disconnecting consumers who do not require guaranteed power supply, the growing electricity deficit points to a systemic crisis in the Russian energy sector. The Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine.
In addition to wear and overload, systematic strikes by the armed forces of Ukraine are also affecting the Russian energy system. If Ukrainian strikes even partially damage Russian thermal power plants, this will cause significant problems for Russia's energy sector. The armed forces of Ukraine have already brought a blackout in southern Russia 60% closer.
Strikes by the armed forces of Ukraine are gradually knocking out high-voltage substations, which make it possible to transfer electricity from one region to another. If the thermal power plants are also destroyed, then they will face a much more difficult situation than we do. Alexander Kharchenko, director of the Energy Research Center.
Not only Russian regions, but also Moscow are suffering from Ukrainian drone attacks and power outages.
This has a very serious, not just propagandistic significance directly for the Kremlin. Let me remind you that one of the reasons for launching the so-called special military operation was the issue of guaranteeing the security of the Russian Federation itself. How did Putin and his inner circle explain this? We see how the war is coming directly to Moscow. And not just to Muscovites. We see that the geography of Ukraine's drone attacks is expanding.
Ukrainians have long since gotten used to and adapted to power and heating outages. But for Russians, this is an unexpected surprise. So it's time to start stocking up on matches, candles, and firewood.
Nord Stream scandal returns. New investigation could shake Europe's support for Ukraine. The Nord Stream story isn't over, it's only getting louder. According to the Wall Street Journal, the investigation into the 2022 sabotage of the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines is accelerating, and the political fallout could hit Europe hard. Who blew up the pipelines, and will this investigation weaken Europe's unite front in support of Ukraine? All the case details next.
Nord Stream 2 is an exclusively economic project.
The investigation into the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines is gaining momentum and threatens to undermine European support for Ukraine. This is reported by the Wall Street Journal. On September 26, 2022, the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines were destroyed on the floor of the Baltic Sea in neutral waters. At that time, both pipelines were not operational, but they were filled with technical gas. NATO called the incident sabotage, and Russia's FSB opened a criminal case.
Everyone understands that these were clearly acts of terrorism. But everyone also realizes that some very serious and influential Western figures have something to hide, and they really do not want this investigation to be truly objective.
Initially, the investigation was started in Germany, Denmark, and Sweden. Subsequently, these countries stopped their investigations. The investigation concluded that they had no grounds to initiate a criminal case, and that the case itself does not fall under their jurisdiction.
This investigation was conducted in a fairly traditional manner, and the investigators concluded that they could not accuse anyone of this. They had no evidence, so for us, the case is closed.
Germany continued the investigation. We
want to discuss this issue. It's not worth speculating. All I can say is that we are very interested in clarifying this matter.
German investigators adhere to the version of an explosion that allegedly was organized by Ukrainians. According to them, the goal was to reduce Russia's oil revenues and its energy ties with Germany. In total, according to investigators, 7 people took part in the operation: 4 divers, an explosives expert, and the captain of the yacht Andromeda.
German investigators are confident that they have identified the perpetrators. In Italy, a Ukrainian citizen, Serhiy K., was arrested. A special forces unit under his command allegedly rented the sailing yacht Andromeda to access the pipelines. The federal prosecutor mentions 5 more suspects. All of them are Ukrainian citizens, including 1 woman. It is believed that one of the perpetrators was killed in the war.
The decision regarding Kuznetsov was made by the Italian Court of Appeals. Initially, the Court of First Instance refused the German side's request for extradition. However, investigators appealed the decision and the appellate court sided with them. Kuznetsov is now awaiting a decision on Germany's request for extradition from Italy. The German police have already prepared a special plane to transport the Ukrainian to Hamburg.
Traces of explosives, intelligence data, and so on. We believe that this is exactly what happened with the Andromeda, and that neither the CIA nor Russian special services nor the Russian army are behind it. Many in Berlin are glad that the investigations against unknown individuals are ongoing.
On September 30th, a Ukrainian citizen, Volodymyr Zhuravlev, was detained in Poland. He was wanted under a European arrest warrant. In October, a court in Poland decided to deny the extradition of the suspect to Germany and ordered his immediate release.
My client is innocent. He has not committed any crimes either on German territory or against Germany. Since the prosecution first asked him this question, my client has consistently maintained that the accusation is abstract and unclear. This position remains unchanged.
According to the investigation, Kuznetsov coordinated the work of saboteurs from Germany, while Zhuravlev sailed a yacht to the pipeline, dove underwater, and planted explosives.
What are the German authorities trying to achieve with this? And whose interests are they protecting? Does the property of the Russian state corporation Gazprom really deserve protection? Is it really the case that in such a situation those responsible should be held accountable?
The decisive piece of evidence, according to statements from Germany, was a grainy black and white photograph taken by a road surveillance camera. It allegedly shows the face of a Ukrainian diver. Warsaw considers Zhuravlev a hero who destroyed a crucial source of income for Vladimir Putin's war machine. Judge Dariusz Lubowski stated that for Germany the case has political overtones.
These actions were not unlawful. On the contrary, they were justified, rational, and fair. They cannot be considered terrorists or saboteurs because by defending their homeland by any means, they are weakening the enemy.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk also commented on Germany's investigation. We
believe that the real problem was the construction of Nord Stream, not its destruction. A Polish court refused to extradite to Germany a Ukrainian suspected of blowing up Nord Stream 2 and released him from custody. And that was the right decision. Case closed.
The decision of the Italian court regarding Kuznetsov's extradition could complicate relations between Ukraine and Germany and turn the Nord Stream case into a diplomatic crisis, according to Wall Street Journal journalists.
Politically, we firmly stand on the side of Ukraine. Russia has been waging a terrible, aggressive war against Ukraine for 3 years now. We are on Ukraine's side. But for me, it's important that Germany is a state governed by the rule of law and that we consistently investigate crimes committed within our jurisdiction.
Putin's German friends, the far-right Alternative for Germany party, have launched a campaign demanding a reduction in aid to Ukraine. This year, the same party celebrated the birthday of the Russian dictator Putin. Before that, they demanded the expulsion of Ukrainian refugees from Germany.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now. Czech Republic gives Ukraine a new satellite. Eye in the Sky, a game-changing gift for Ukraine. Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that will provide Ukraine with its own Earth observation satellite, a powerful symbol of support and a major boost to Ukrainians' intelligence and defense capabilities. A satellite means clearer images, faster detection of enemy movements and stronger control over our own skies. Why did Prague make this move now? And how will this Eye in the Sky change the battlefield? All the details coming up.
A satellite for Ukraine. On October 21, 2025, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic announced that, as a sign of support for Ukraine, it would gift Ukraine an Earth observation satellite. This information emerged in October when Ukraine's last operational satellite, Sish-2-30, completed its mission.
Satellites play an extremely important and vital role in our world today, impacting many aspects of our daily lives. And we all remember very clearly how we all got extremely anxious and concerned when there was a particular moment in time when the United States, for various reasons, refused to provide or share crucial satellite data and information to Ukraine, which was a significant event.
Sish-2-30 fell and most likely burned up in the atmosphere on October 8th off the coast of Alaska, USA. This was reported by the National Center for Space Facilities Testing and Control. Now, a replacement was needed.
Let's not forget that actually Ukraine also has Finnish satellites, which were also practically gifted to Ukraine. And Ukraine can also make use of Finnish satellites for its purposes. But let's not forget about the important role played by the Starlink equipment, which is crucial for communications and also about access to valuable data that comes from the satellites belonging to Ukraine's international partners, primarily, of course, the United States of America, which provides significant support in this area.
Which specific satellite the Czech Republic will give to Ukraine is still unknown. The previous one, on January 13, 2022, was launched into its designated orbit by a Falcon 9 rocket from SpaceX. After that, it was contacted and it was confirmed that the onboard equipment was functioning properly. At the time, the President's office stated that the digital images transmitted by the satellite to Earth could be used in agriculture and forestry, cartography, for monitoring water resources, emergency situations and natural disasters, as well as in the field of security and defense for detecting illegal activities.
Satellites play several important roles. They perform several important tasks in wartime conditions. First and foremost, of course, is reconnaissance. Communication on the battlefield is also extremely important. And in fact, the fact that Ukraine was the first to have Starlink systems gave it a fairly significant advantage at the beginning of the full-scale invasion.
Despite the fact that the Russians have now brought their satellite industry to ruin in their own country, it used to be top-notch and is now helping the Kremlin wage war against our country.
Russia is also using data from Chinese satellites. This means that Russia currently does not have enough of its own satellite constellation in orbit and is therefore forced to use, among other things, Chinese satellites.
We can say that the Ukrainian satellite industry is now at the stage of its inception. With the support of its allies, it has every chance to become promising and competitive in the world.
That's all for today on Ukraine Today. If you believe truth must be louder than Kremlin lies, like, comment and subscribe. Your support keeps us on the information front line. Stay strong, stay informed and stay with Ukraine.